Chapter 9, Part 3. The harsh winter winds had taken their toll on the garden. Only a few evergreens stood firm, but it was clear to see that the garden remained well maintained and would be ready to bloom again when the warmer weather returned. There was no litter or mess. The stonework was immaculate too. There was clearly a lot of love for this place. I took a number of photographs for the record that can be sent on to Mr. Green as evidence. The more I found out, the more I wanted to know. I continued up the hill towards Seaham Hall. I didn't expect to find anything there, but I had come this far. At least the wind would be at my back on the return trip to the car. I was quite taken aback by the splendour of the building. It was huge. The photographs online had not really done it justice, and its rebirth as a hotel and spa was quite stunning. I was neither a guest nor a member, and I didn't feel comfortable walking in through the main doors. Judging by the quality of the cars in the car park, it was not the type of place that would welcome bedraggled riffraff from the street. But like I said, I'd come this far. I had to complete the journey. The reception area was bright, white, open and grand. Thankfully there were a few people milling about and I was able to explore the walls for signs of the past. I didn't expect to find any. Instead, large pictures of stones, flowers, and running water adorned the walls to help guests relax. I soaked in the ambience and warmth long enough to change back to my usual colour before making my way to reception. I asked if I could speak to the manager. I felt like he, or she, would have had little more local knowledge than the girl at the desk. She looked me up and down with all of the tact an 18-year-old can muster, and her smirk did not hide her feelings towards me. I couldn't blame her. I suppose I was more Brad Shit than Brad Pitt. She asked me to take a seat, and within a few minutes I was joined by a heavily made-up lady in a tight-fitting black suit. Figure-hugging, you might say. According to the badge, her name was Lynn. I explained briefly why I was there and who I was looking for. She smiled, that same smile the girl on reception gave me, and she told me she didn't know the history of the building before it became a spa. "I'm from Darlington," she said, as if that explained it all. I knew I was clutching at straws. She wasn't even aware of the memorial garden down the road. But I thanked her for her help, and she told me I was more than welcome to come back and try the facilities, with all the sincerity of the wolf inviting one of the 3 pigs around to his house for a game of cards and a chat. I left the way I came in, but decided to walk a circle of the building before heading off back to the car. It took longer than I thought. The gardens were huge. At the back, the vast green expanse of grass led down to some steps and a clear view of the sea. I stood right in the middle of the lawn with the gusts battering me, thinking that I could have been standing in the exact same spot that Ernie might have stood. I must have been there a while before I realised I had company. I turned to face an older man, perhaps in his 60s, staring at me. He smiled and apologised for startling me. He introduced himself as the site manager, or General Dogsbody. He explained that he had heard the manager talking to the receptionist about me after I had gone, and he decided to follow me outside. It was a ridiculous situation. Both of us stood there being battered by the wind in the most exposed place possible. Despite that, I introduced myself and repeated what I had said to the manager about why I was there. He said something derogatory about the 2 blonde bronze bimbos in reception, and then said that he might be able to help. That's when my ears pricked up. He introduced himself as Mike Irvin. He told me that he was busy just now, but was not working the next day, and if I was interested he could meet me and tell me what he knew about the old place. We exchanged numbers, me shivering so much I could barely tap the numbers in, and I promised a call in the morning. He smiled, shook my hand and wandered off, pushing a wheelbarrow full of rocks. Another unexpected lead. I was frozen on the outside, but certainly warming on the inside. My mind raced again. What could he possibly know? He was oldish, but he wasn't old enough to know Ernie. He wouldn't know the sanatorium either. But it was another possible lead. the bench, the garden, Martha Nugent, and now this Mike. Every time I tried to tidy up a few loose ends, I found another few pieces stretching out before me. I made my way back to the car as the light started to fade. In just a few days, I'd be on a plane to New York. It felt a world away from Seaham, but it was a journey Ernie had made, and it was one that I must follow. By the time I made it back to the car, I was freezing again, and hungry. I realised I hadn't eaten a bite all day. I made my way back to the hotel to check in, warm up, shower, book a table in the restaurant, and update you, Mr. Diary. All done now, apart from the food. 11:15 p.m. Lovely meal. Not the cheapest, but I can afford it, thanks to Mr. Green. I texted Mr. Irvin earlier and he replied almost straight away. I arranged to meet up with him at the Black Truffle coffee shop, a short walk from here, at 10:30 a.m. I better sign off now and get some shut-eye. Who knows what tomorrow may bring?